Alrighty, we are now recording.
Hi, everybody. I'm just gonna wait like a minute to make sure everybody has time to log on. I'm excited to make this pumpkin centerpiece with you today. All right, so my name is Stephanie. I live in South Florida with my husband, Rusty, and our two daughters. Mackenzie is 10 and Maven is 5. And we have a Bernie doodle. Her name is Piper. You may hear her barking in the background because she is quite the dog, let me tell you. So today we are going to make this painted pumpkin centerpiece. I'm so excited to share with you guys how to make this. It's super easy. I got this amazing opportunity to work with Michaels this past spring on some fall collaborations, and this was one of them. I am a DIY blogger. Yeah, I share home decor, DIYs, and I love the holidays. Right now I'm sharing tons of Halloween magic over on my Instagram. My Instagram handle is Stephanie Hannah Blog. If you don't follow me, please come check me out. And my blog is www.stephaniehanna.com. I would love if you would come subscribe to my blog and see what I have to offer there. I go into a lot more detail with my projects on the blog than I do on Instagram. So I'd love for you to come check me out there too. And so I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. I just wanna say, if you have any questions as we're going, please don't be afraid to ask questions. If you have a question, you can type it in the Q&A if you want to type a question directly to me, or if you want just to converse with others, and you can type them in the chat. So this is a craft pumpkin from Michaels. This is the 9-inch craft pumpkin. And there are so many things that you can do with this craft pumpkin. It's pretty cool. What we're going to do first is we're going to cut the top off of our pumpkin. So there's a couple of different ways to do this, but I have discovered this amazing tool. I don't know if you can see, it's called a HotKnife. And if you don't have one and you're a crafter, you have to have one because it is amazing. It's basically a heated X-Acto knife. And I just discovered that this a couple months ago, and I absolutely love it. So what we're gonna do is we're just going to take a pencil if you want. If you just rather just freehand it, you can, but I just take my pencil and I go around and I just draw the circle. You want like a big enough opening so that you can fit the floral foam inside. So just draw a line around like so. This craft is so fun because I feel like anybody can do it. It's definitely feasible for anyone to try this. I always love to share things that I feel that my followers can take and create it in their own home. And I always share the details because I want you guys to be able to take these ideas and take them into your home and make your home beautiful, and you can be proud of it. I would love if you do make this to tag me on Instagram and I'll share it to my stories. You can use the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels or Michaels Classes, and it'll be shared through there as well. So the X-Acto knife, the hot knife, I guess you call it, is hot. I'm not gonna lie, okay? So you just have to be careful. So it just takes some getting used to, but when you put it inside the craft pumpkin, see, it's like butter. Just cuts into the pumpkin so easily. Just keep going. And sometimes if you're not quite quick enough, it can burn it just a bit. You just have to be careful. But if it does, don't worry about it because we're gonna paint it anyways. And if you don't have a hot knife, you can use a regular knife because this is foam, but it's just much easier this way with the hot knife. And then on the seams where the pumpkin is formed, put together, it's a little harder there to get through there because it's a little thicker. So you just have to be careful with that. And just go slow because I don't want anybody getting hurt with this thing. And you have to keep this far away from your children because this thing is sharp. Going all the way around. This centerpiece it can be used for your dining room table. It could be used for your entryway on a console table. It could be used on a coffee table. The possibilities are endless. And I also love this too, because you can keep this season after season and you can repaint it a different color if you're not feeling the vibe that you had the year before, or, you know, keep it, use it for Thanksgiving and then keep it for Christmas and take out what you used. Like I'm using the dried florals and I could, you know, put pine in it for Christmas. If you wanted to do something for Halloween, I'm a huge Halloween lover. I love Halloween. I love Christmas too, but Halloween is just really fun because I just feel like there's just so many possibilities. It's just, you have creative freedom with Halloween. So I get really into it. My kids get into it. It's cute. All right, so I'm just going back over it one more time just to make sure it's all cut through. Does anybody have any questions?
There's no questions at this time.
Okay. Don't be shy. I don't bite, I promise. Look at that. That just is the best. I mean, come on. How amazing is that? How it just cuts it right off. You can see the hot knife smoking a little. I love that. I actually used the hot knife the other day too to carve the front of a pumpkin. And that was really fun too. So it's easy with these foam pumpkins to carve them. And then you don't also have the mess like a regular pumpkin. Okay, so now that we have our opening, we are going to paint our pumpkin. So now this pumpkin obviously is the cream color, and I love this color. It's called Campground, and it's just this beautiful dark green color. Has just like a little bit of a bluish tint to it, and I love it. So I fell in love with the greens this year for Thanksgiving. Just something that was a little different. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's the fun part about this craft too, is that you can paint in any color, absolutely any color that you love, you can use. So I just use a normal craft brush. I like to use the wider brush, and you just start painting. As you can see, I'm taking this from cream to the dark green, so it is going to take quite a few coats. It takes about 4 coats to get it exactly how I like it. Just go along, just paint. You know, don't ever be afraid of paint. I feel like sometimes people are like, oh no, I don't know how to do that, or should I prime it, or do I need to put a clear coat on it? And my advice is don't overthink it. Just go for it. I mean, that's how I craft. I don't prime things typically. To me, this is just going to sit on a table, and then when the season's over, I'm going to put it away, and it's going to be, you know, in a plastic bin, so it's not getting a lot of wear and tear. Now, if you were going to, you know, have your kids throwing it around the house, then you might want to prime it because it may chip. But I just feel that don't be intimidated by paint. And I'm always talking about that on my blog and Instagram too. It's like, if you know you don't do crafts every day, like that's okay. You know, you can, oh, I just stuck my finger in the paint. Good job, Steph. You can do this. And this is a great one to start with. And if you have any older home decor, like say you have, you know, something for Halloween or Thanksgiving or even Christmas, and you're just like, oh, I don't know, I've had that for years, I'm kind of tired of it, I'd like to try a different color, just paint it. That's what I do. And it gives your decor a whole new life. All right, how are we doing? I know somebody's got to have a question for me.
So far, so good. They just want to make sure that the color you're using is the campground color.
This is Campground. If you do look on Michael's, I did an entire tablescape with this centerpiece. So I built the centerpiece, and then I took a lot of other pumpkins and I did other shades of green to kind of give like a little bit of an ombre effect. So that turned out really pretty. I put eucalyptus and candles. I put gold tapered candle holders that you can get at Michael's as well, with the cream candles. And then I put some of the pumpkins were on like little, almost like a mini cake stand, just to give them height. I always say when you're making your tablescapes, definitely you want to layer, and you want to create a little bit of height here and there, just for visual interest. Okay, so as you can see with this, it's very light, okay, because we're going for that dark green. You can paint the inside of it if you want. Like here, it probably is not going to show depending on how full you make your centerpiece. And again, that's the fun part, is it's all up to you. You can choose to make it full, or you can choose to use florals. You can choose to use, you know, dried florals. It's totally up to you. For this one, I did do more of like, I don't know, sometimes I like to add like a little bit of a boho feel. So the florals that I chose are the dried look. And I just love the way it came out with the campground green. I think it looks so pretty. So the craft paint does dry quickly, but it's not going to dry quick enough for me to be able to show you exactly what I'm doing here. So you have one coat of paint on your pumpkin, and you can always go back and add more coats of paint, but we would spend our entire hour painting the pumpkin. So for now, I'm just going to put this one aside, and I'm going to bring over another one that I just painted the front of so you can see. And I always get paint all over me. Like I always, so funny. I always have paint all over my hands. Okay, so this one I cut earlier just to show you guys, and this is more how the paint is going to look. So, I mean, you can see the difference with this. This does take 4 coats because it is so dark. If you're choosing, you know, a lighter color like a blush or a pink or an orange, it's definitely going to take less coats for you to get it covered. But for right now, your first coat should have dried just enough to be able to move to the next step. And then once you get your arrangement put into your pumpkin, you can easily go back and just add more paint, more coats of paint to your pumpkin.
Hey, Stephanie, I have a couple of questions for you.
Yes.
There's one question asking, would it be okay to spray paint the pumpkins instead of using paint, acrylic paint?
Absolutely. Spray paint is my best friend too. Craft paint, spray paint, I love them both. I really love the look of craft paint. It gives a matte feel, and spray paint I do use, but I just feel like sometimes spray paint, it has a little bit of a sheen to it, and sometimes it can be a little splotchy. So for this, I really wanted to use this, but absolutely, like if you're in a time crunch and you just want it to be pink, like just go over it with 2 coats of spray paint and you're golden.
And also they were wondering, is it best to use a foam brush or just a regular craft brush?
Okay, I personally don't like the foam brushes. I just don't ever have luck with them. They are very like streaky to me, so I like using the these from Michaels. I love these brushes. So, I mean, it's totally up to you. You can use the foam brush. I mean, it's definitely wider, so you cover more space while you're going. But I don't know, I just have my favorites that I use, but you can absolutely use both. Does that answer the questions?
I believe so. That's all I have right now.
Okay, awesome. All right, so now we're on to like the messy part. Have you guys ever used the floral foam? It is awesome. I love this stuff. I just use it for a lot of different things, but it's definitely very messy. So just be prepared. I have a floral foam knife. You don't need to have this. You can just use a regular knife if you want. But what you're going to do is you're just going to try to kind of lay your foam over the pumpkin to figure out, okay, how big is my opening and where can I cut my foam to insert into my pumpkin so that I have room to insert all of my florals into my pumpkin. So I'm looking here, it should be about like right here. So I'm just going to take this and cut it. And it does not have to be perfect because no one's going to see this part. It's just to hold your flowers. And honestly, if you see how messy it is, if you don't have this, that's okay too. You can use other things. I always say like the glue gun is my best friend too. So if you didn't have floral foam and you really wanted to make this, you could fill the inside with packing paper or paper towels or just something for your florals to stick to, and then you could use hot glue on the end of them to kind of get it to stick better into where you want it. It's definitely much easier to do it with the floral foam, but if you don't have it, I don't want you to feel like you can't make it. Okay, so we cut the floral foam and then we're just gonna put it inside the pumpkin. And then you're just gonna take, because it's a pumpkin obviously, and it's smaller here and wider here, so we can't fill all of that in there with the floral foam because we had to get it into the pumpkin first of all. So if you have paper towels or anything that you can just put around the floral foam just to give it stability, go ahead and do that. I just took 2 paper towels and I just put it around it so that you could see there. I always make such a mess. My husband actually just built me this workbench that I'm working on right now. This is very exciting. I love this. So no longer do I have to have a total mess on my kitchen table. I'm loving this workbench. Makes me so happy. So now we're going to start building the look that we want. So I like to start with the center first and then build some of the more like flary pieces, right, that are going to come off the sides. And then we'll go back in and we'll fill in around that. So this one is going to go in the center. So what I'm going to do, now Michael's does sell different size pumpkins. So depending on your need of where you want to put this, you know, they sell the taller pumpkin too. So maybe let's say if you wanted to put this in your entryway and you wanted to put it on a console table, you could put the taller pumpkin on there. So it just depends on what you really like and where you want to put it. The possibilities are endless. So I just kind of hold it up to see like, okay, is this going to lay how I want it? Because this is going to be my center. So is this going to be like a good height? And I think that looks like a good height. So this one was actually already cut, I think. Or no, it came like that. Yeah, so it comes like that. So we don't have to cut that one. I do have the pliers here to be able to cut these because they're pretty strong. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take this and put it smack in the center. And you're just going to push it all the way down into the floral foam. And if it rocks a little bit or it's not quite centered, don't worry about it. Because we're going to fill this so much, it's all going to stabilize itself once we start filling it. So we have that as a center. Doesn't really want to stand up perfectly. You could also, which I should have done, which I forgot to do, hot glue the floral foam to the bottom of your pumpkin. That's definitely a good idea to do that. Okay, so then I have kind of like this Pampas grass. I don't remember the name of this one. I think it's like a Pampas grass, yeah. And so we're just going to put these all around. So first I have to cut this one because it's too long and these stems are pretty tough. So having a good pair of clippers is essential. I have used scissors before, but just be careful with them. So I'm just gonna clip this. Okay. And kind of want that flaring off to the side. Okay. And then also going to do that again for this one. Just be careful with those clippers because they are strong. All right, so then we're just going to make this one on the other side. So exactly across from it, just put it at a little bit of an angle into the floral foam. So it kind of flares out to the side a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing towards the front. And again, whatever you're using, you build it based off of the height that you want for, you know, if you're using this for dining room table and you want to keep it on the table for Thanksgiving dinner, maybe you want to have it a little lower so that everyone can see each other. I always like to do mine pretty high and pretty flouncy. I like the drama. And we're just going to take this last Pampas grass one and clip it. Use my muscles. Okay, and then I just want to thank you guys for tuning in with me and doing this. This is such a dream come true, working with Michaels, and I flew out to Dallas and worked with their team in the studio, and we built the Thanksgiving tablescape, and we built the Halloween wreath, Halloween terrarium, and a fall wreath, and it was just so fun. I felt like I was in a dream the entire time, but it was real, and it was just awesome and just such a cool experience for me. I've been doing this for about 3 years. I would say, yeah, about 3 years. And it was definitely a dream come true to work with them. So I'm just very thankful, and I have the best friends and family that are so supportive, and it just means so much to me. All my best friends were like, oh, we're coming on tonight. It just was, I don't know, it just made me so happy. So thank you guys, all of you. Okay, woo! That one went flying. Okay. So now we're going to add this one. It's really pretty. It's kind of like a seed pod, and it's got like the pink with the tan, and I love it. I always have to add a little bit of pink to everything I do because pink just makes me happy. All right, so then we're gonna go in between the Pampas grass and just kind of flare this out. So you're gonna put it a little bit in at an angle and just push it down into the floral foam. I don't know if you can see, but that just flares out so pretty on this side. So we're going to do that a couple more times. How are you guys doing? Do you have questions?
I have a few people tuning in on the Facebook Live,
Okay.
and we have some great comments. Debbie says, this is gorgeous. Looks like something I'll be making.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I love that.
And Mary says, this is beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Lots of people are really impressed by this floral arrangement.
Awesome. And you know what the greatest part is? You can make it too. It's super easy and you can have it in your home. Oh my gosh, that one. That one like flew off. Be careful when you're cutting these things. Oh, wow. But yeah, that's the best part is like, that's really honestly the reason why I love doing what I do so much is seeing people get so much joy out of like, oh my gosh, hey, I can make this and I did this and now it's in my house and my family's enjoying it and you know they're enjoying it and it just makes you feel good. We need all the feel good stuff right now in life, even if it's as simple as crafts. So I put in my 2 on the side and then I have 1 left here. And what I'm going to do, sometimes when you have, let me move this over and show you guys. Sometimes when you have like a long one like this, sometimes it might be better to cut off these stalks from the big stalk just to be able to place them around more. So since I have the 2 on either side, I'm going to cut these off and just like place them around individually. All right. I don't know if you can see because this arrangement is very bouncy. Okay. So see how I have just the 1 off the stalk and then I'm just going to put that in. Isn't this fun though? Like you can't mess up. That's the thing is there's no failing here. Because trust me, there's a lot of DIYs I try and I'm like, oh, that didn't turn out. Scratch that. I think that's one thing that people don't understand. For every idea that you see, there's definitely a couple that you don't because trial and error sometimes with what we do. I'm always trying to keep it new and fresh, bring you guys new ideas. Okay, so we're just going to cut this one off.
Hey, Stephanie, this is Felicia. There's a question wondering, how do you feel about painting the pumpkin after you've done the arrangement?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, of course. Because you see how, you know, if I can hold it up, you see how nothing is touching the green part. So, you know, you might need to be a little careful, like if you have something like this, like the Pampas grass, because you don't want that to like get in your paint. But no, absolutely. Yeah, you could. I think it would be easier to paint it first, but because we don't have a couple hours to spend together, I just thought that we would start off showing you and then you could finish it up. So next, all right, we have, this is so big and pretty, but it's like in my face. Okay, so I think these are called Thistle, I'm pretty sure. And I love these. I love the way they look. I think they're so pretty. I love the cream. I think it just adds a bit of brightness to the bouquet for my centerpiece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off So see how this is a little different, right? These kind of like bend out from each other. So what I'm gonna do is cut off each one individually. So I have a little more freedom with how I can build my look. She's looking pretty though, I like her. Are you guys having success with your centerpieces? How's this going? See, so these are gonna be a little lower because I wanna just fill in a little bit lower. So we've got the drama with the height in the middle and the sides, and then I'm just gonna fill in with these little ones a little bit. Cut that.
Hey, Stephanie.
Yes.
We do have some people who are tuning in a little late, and we're wondering if you could just give a quick run through of how did you start off this project?
Yeah, sure, of course. So what I did was I started with a foam craft pumpkin from Michael's. This was a 9-inch pumpkin, and I cut the top off with a HotKnife. And then this is the HotKnife. A lot of people are like, what is a HotKnife? This is the HotKnife. So cool. It's like my new favorite thing. And then after cutting the top off, you can paint your pumpkin. I recommend painting your pumpkin first. It does take quite a few coats. If you use craft paint, you could absolutely use spray paint if you wanted. There's no wrong way here. And then after you have your pumpkin painted, you're going to cut your floral foam to go into the middle of the pumpkin. And then you're going to put something around the floral foam just to give it stability. So you can hot glue the floral foam into the bottom. You can put paper towels, whatever you can use to kind of give the foam support. And then you get to build your centerpiece. So you take all your florals, which I'm doing right now, and cut them. I start with the big flouncy pieces first, and then I fill it in with some of the smaller pieces. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is I'm just filling these in with the thistle, and it's looking so pretty. Now, I do only have one side of this painted because I was trying to show the two sides. So if I turn it, that's why it's white on the back. I'll finish painting it when we're all done. So we just want to keep cutting these off. Okay. All right. So we're just sticking those in there, giving it a little bit of fullness. Oh, it's looking so cute. I love her. She's so cute. Okay, so we could keep adding those. And then also, I love this orange, I don't know, like seed pods. Love this. So this comes on kind of a larger bottom. So I'm going to take the tag off. Should use scissors. My gold scissors, they make me happy. Oh, and then I have to show you guys too. My gold glue gun. Isn't this cool? It's little things in life that make me happy, but you can get this at Michael's. They sell gold glue guns. Okay, so with this one, I have 2 of these. So I am just going to try and cut this at the base. Might be a little too thick for me to cut. I need to cut those individually. So with these, I have to cut individually because the bottom base was just too thick for my clippers. So we're just cutting those off. I try to cut 3 at a time. Okay. So now, you know, and every once in a while, just stand back and look at what you're creating and see what you think. So just place it where you see holes. This will definitely be a fun conversation piece too. And this would be fun too. You could get together with your girlfriends and make this with them for the holidays. That could be a fun, do like a little, maybe like a gift exchange, and then you guys could make your own pumpkins together. Wouldn't that be fun? I think that sounds fun. How's everybody doing? I wish I could see your creations.
Stephanie, if people are making along, where should they post pictures of their work so you can see it?
Yes, please post on Instagram. If you post them on Instagram, my handle is Stephanie Hannah Blog. So just tag me and I will for sure share them to my stories. Nothing makes me more happy than seeing that you guys are creating along with me. I just love it so much. And yeah, you can post it. I'm not on Facebook a lot. I do have a Facebook, Inspired Styling, but Instagram is definitely, I'm on Instagram every day. So that's definitely the best place. Or if you wanted to and you're not, want to do it on social, you can email me too. My email is on my blog. If you ever have any questions about anything on my blog or you need help, you can always email me. I take a lot of pride in returning emails and reading my DMs and responding to my DMs on Instagram. So I mean, the connecting with you guys is the best part. Seeing that you're taking an idea that I might have shared and using it just makes me so happy. Ooh, that is looking so pretty. Isn't it looking pretty? Ooh, I love it. Okay, so maybe, I don't know if we need much more. So then this I use all the time. 2 things I really love to use all over the house is the wheat and the bunny tails. Bunny tails would look good in this too. And you can find them both at Michael's. And I just love the look of this. So we're only going to cut this down just a little bit and just to see how it looks kind of poking out more. Since we have a lot of fullness. Yeah. Ooh, yes, that's exactly what it needed. So I'm just going to go around and clip these. These clip super easy. And put these in. And this is also going to be recorded and it will be on the Michael's website. So if you're not making it right now and you want to come back to it, it's there. So you guys have it to refer to. Oh, I just love this. Do you guys love this? Because I love this. And you just place it anywhere like you feel it just needs a little something. Oh, you know what would also be really fun is you could take, you know, because the wheat, quite a few comes in the pack. You could take this and put one little sprig on your place settings at Thanksgiving dinner if you wanted. That would be like a cute little touch, just to pull it all in together. I'll just use my scissors for this. Yeah.
Hey, Stephanie, I have a question. Other than using these particular type of flowers, would you say real flowers would work good?
Fresh flowers?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm either kind of a fresh flower girl or dried, you know, as far as like if the, you know, the brown dried look. I love using fresh flowers. So yeah, I would definitely do that. You could, you know, do it the same, use it. I don't know, does this have a hole at the bottom? I don't see a hole, so I think water would be fine in there. That's a really good idea. I love that idea, actually. And you know what else you could do too, if you wanted? You know, you don't have to always use florals too. Like I love making wreaths. I think wreaths are really fun because you can just be so creative with wreaths. And I like to use different things in my wreaths. So not always just florals or, you know, dried florals. I like to use, you know, disco balls or, you know, pumpkins or skulls. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I love my skulls. I just did a bunch of crafts on my Instagram and my blog with the skulls. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a little different, but I like to think outside the box. So I think that Michael's this year has a wooden sign that says thankful. It's just wood letters in cursive that says thankful. And we did toy around with that idea to put that on the front. So how pretty would that be if you took, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? They're like wood words and you can paint them. You could paint it gold if you wanted and hot glue it to the front. And it just says thankful on the front for Thanksgiving. I love that idea. Just thought that was like a different, you know, sometimes you can just, you think outside the box a little as far as what you add to it. It doesn't always just have to be florals. So I'm just going along and just filling in the spots where I feel like it needs a little something. And we're almost done. Needs a few more. Hopefully for Thanksgiving this year, people can be with their families a little bit more than we have been able to in the past. So this would just be like a beautiful, special little touch. This here. But you see how as you build it, it's so fun because it's just easy. And you know what? If you put something in and you don't like it, take it out, try something else. That's what I'm saying. It's just easy and fun. And there's no right or wrong. And I think it's looking pretty good. I also have a little bit of this that I like to use too. I don't know if you can see that. So I'll just add a little bit of that in here as well. Okay. Oh, that's exactly what it needed. Just needed that little bit of fullness right in the middle there. Oh, it's so pretty. All right, you guys, I think it's done. I think it looks pretty good. What do you think?
We have so many positive comments in the chat.
Yay! That makes me feel good. I feel like I don't know if we're on the overhead view or the front view, but it's like I'm in the forest over here with my centerpiece.
Jennifer said this would keep her cat occupied for hours.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, for sure. Oh, that would be so cute. The cat would be so happy.
Kelly says this is beautiful.
Thank you, Kelly.
We do have a few more people tuning in late with us here on Facebook. Can you, for one last time before we wrap up class, just talk through the steps of making this project?
Sure, absolutely. So what I did was basically, I just started with a 9-inch craft pumpkin from Michael's. It's the cream pumpkin. I cut the top off with the HotKnife, and then I painted the pumpkin. It does take about 4 coats of paint to use for the craft paint. You could spray paint it if you wanted something a little faster. I just love the look of the craft paint, the matte feel of the craft paint. And then you just cut your floral foam to go inside the pumpkin and fill something around the floral foam so it has a little bit of stability. And then you just take your florals and just start inserting them into the floral foam and creating your arrangement. And that's honestly it. And it's just a beautiful centerpiece for your dining room table or your console table in your entryway, or even a coffee table, or maybe when you're styling your mantle, you could put it on your mantle too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And one last time, where can people find you on social media?
So my name is Stephanie Hannah, and my Instagram is Stephanie Hannah Blog. I'm on TikTok as well. And my blog is stephaniehanna.com. And it would mean so much for me if you would subscribe to my blog. That's where I keep everything. That's where my heart is. And that's where I share all the ins and outs of all of my projects on my blog.
Alrighty, and I think that is it for us today. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. It means so much.
Alrighty, bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.